Hi, I'm Scott Mansell from Driver61. Now, a question that I get asked all the time from racing drivers is how useful simulators are to real-world racing. Well, today I'm at SIMTECHPRO in Barcelona to find out. So I've just spent a good 30 minutes in the sim. I drove around Spa, which I know very well, and I drove a Ferrari 488 GT3 car, which I also know quite well. So my idea of the simulator was to see how well it reflects real life driving, and what we can use from that to improve our driving in the real world. And I have to say, the first thing that comes at you is just how realistic the circuits are. Now, I know these circuits are laser scanned and all the colours, all the bumps, all the curbs, exactly as they are in real life. So that's incredible. But the thing that I've actually learned today is that the physics between different software, between the iRacing, between Assetto Corsa, they actually change quite a lot. So previously, when I'd driven in other sims, I thought that sims were great for learning circuits, for learning where the circuits go, for probably improving your focus on the circuit. But the physics actually, I thought, were a little bit different. Yes, I thought that it was good for improving your focus and improving how you adapt to the different feedback that you get from the sim compared to the real world. But actually, using some different software today, the dynamics of the car, how the car reacts when you're turning, how the car reacts when you trail the brakes into the corner, is actually very, very similar to the real world. So how useful is the sim if you're a real world racer? Well, as I mentioned, they're great for learning circuits. All the circuits are millimeter perfect, so all the curbs are exactly the same. You can get all your reference points, you can get all your braking reference points, you can work on your driving lines. Obviously the differences in grip aren't quite there that you might get in real world driving, and that progression as you go throughout the weekend. But you never get that anyway, even if you're testing in the real world the week before you race at the circuit will be completely different the next weekend. So the sims are absolutely brilliant for learning new circuits. The next benefit of using a sim like this one at SIMTECHPRO is that it really helps you work on your focus. You can really build your concentration. I've worked with many amateur drivers who, when they first get into racing, their concentration will only really last 15 or 20 minutes on the circuit. And the reason for this is it takes up so much capacity to drive a racing car on the edge, on the racetrack with other cars around you, that it just wears your concentration down and your span can become down to 10 or 15 minutes. Working in a simulator like this, where you have much of the same stimuli coming at you, trying to drive the car right on the limit, trying to push yourself that little bit further, it can really help you get used to and open up all of your capacity for driving. Now, one area where I thought that simulators lacked, where I didn't think they could help real world drivers, was in the car dynamics. My previous experiences with how cars reacted to how you would brake into the corners or turn into the corners was that it wasn't exactly the same, or wasn't really even that close to real world driving. And while it had its merits in terms of you learning to use the information that you got from the simulator in a different way to push yourself and to reduce your lap time, it wasn't exactly the same as real world racing. It did some different things that weren't in line with how it actually is in the real world. But having used SIMTECHPRO's software here today, I really feel that the way that the cars were reacting is very, very similar to how it would react in real life. When you come into the corner and you get the car to rotate and you get the car on to the limit, and you can feel it through the steering wheel, you can feel it through the motion platform that the seat sits on. It turns and it gives you all of that information, and when you come off the brakes, and when you get back on the throttle, it feels like a real car. So for me as a driver coach, it's an incredible tool because it means that you can teach somebody, you can teach an amateur driver about car dynamics and how you should naturally react to the pedals and how the weight and the mass is moving around the car. So it surprised me how good the car dynamics and the tyre models and the suspension models are in the software now. It's absolutely incredible and very realistic. Something that I haven't tried yet is actually changing the setup of the car in the sim. And I think this could be another positive for sim driving, where you can actually train a driver, train an amateur driver or a semi-professional driver to learn about setup in a safe and controlled environment. Sometimes in the real world we'll make a setup change in between testing sessions, and even in between the sessions the circuit has changed, whereas in the sim we could keep the circuit from evolving. We could keep the circuit at a static level of grip, for example, and then change the setup in the car, and the drivers can really feel the difference. As I mentioned, I haven't done that in this software just yet. It will be in a future video, but I really feel that it will be a great way to train drivers about engineering the car and getting the absolute most out of the setup. So in summary, I have to say that these simulators are absolutely brilliant for amateur drivers and professional drivers. I would love to have one of these at home, and I really feel like it would help my driving, it would improve my driving, get me into the zone and focus just before a race weekend. So thank you very much for watching. I'd just like to say thanks to SIMTECHPRO in Barcelona for inviting me here today. I'll link to their website below in the description. If you're not already a subscriber, please be sure to subscribe to the Driver 61 channel. We have driving technique tutorials and lots of circuit guides. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.